Hi Golden Valley, John with the Park and Rec Department coming to you with another episode of HomeRECed. Today's activity, we're going to get outside, we're going to look at nature, we're going to enjoy a little bit of spring. So we're going to sit here and we're going to talk a little bit about the birds that we might be seeing now, do a little bit of bird watching. So I got my binoculars, got my great ranger hat out here, kind of ready to roll here. So I'm going to talk about a few specific birds today, but I would certainly encourage you guys to see what you can find and actually take pictures or share your videos or your experiences of what you're seeing with us on our hashtag GVHomeRec, and share what you're finding. But we're going to talk about 5 different birds, pretty common ones that you may or may not be seeing around Golden Valley these days, but pretty common birds to the signs of spring here in Minnesota. So to start, binoculars are always a good thing if you've got them. If you don't have them, no big deal. You can probably get pretty close to these birds that we're going to be talking about today. Another thing that might be a good thing is if you've got a bird book. That you can look up how to ID them, what they sound like, all those different things. Again, I've got some outlines for you here that can also be found on the Golden Valley website. The other thing you can do, you can always use that old Google machine and see what you can find. If you hear a cool sound from a bird, if you see a cool bird and you want to look it up, just type it up and see what it is. But today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few, and I jotted a few notes down ahead of time, so I'm kind of ready because I don't know if I'm going to see any here in my backyard. First and foremost, one that we probably all know, but we're not always positive other than one distinct trait, how to ID this, and that is the blue jay. You see it all year round, you see it all the time, but right now they are really cool looking. There is a ton of color. That blue really pops, just like my blue shirt, so really a cool thing to see. Big thing with the, as I talked about, the blue, but then underneath they've got the white belly, and they've got the pronounced blue head as well. They've even got that crest that kind of comes up a little bit and makes it look like a hat. And then they also have a really black bold necklace around them, so they've got that little line around. In a minute here you're going to see a picture of the blue jay, and just to kind of give you an example if you don't already know, but you can see some of these traits that we talked about. The very blue coat, the white underbelly, the black necklace, and of course kind of the black hat or the blue hat on top of it that kind of perks up a little bit. Another part of the blue jay, so you may not be able to see it right away, but you might be able to hear something and try and ID it. So when you're looking at it, the common call of the blue jay is kind of a whining sound, or it might even be a high-pitched jay that you might hear, and it's very elongated on the A. They also, it's kind of cool, and I did not know this until I did a little bit of homework on this, they have kind of a low-pitched clicking sound that is also, so you'll hear the high-pitched one, that's kind of the gray squirrel or the squirrels, but if you hear that low-pitched kind of click, 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 that could also be a blue jay. So there's a couple things to look for the blue jay, and you'll see a picture here in just a minute. All right, welcome back. The next bird we're going to look into, and is another common one that you see year-round here in Minnesota and probably throughout Golden Valley. It's the cardinal. Hard to miss, that bright red, beautiful. I was actually walking my dog the other day, and I saw this beautiful cardinal. Very red, popped through the trees. Now that we're getting green, it's really going to jump out. Obviously, that's the easiest way to do it, but here's a little fact for you. Did you know that male and female cardinals look a little bit different? The male cardinal is all red, but the female cardinal is mostly brown with red on its wings and tail and a little bit on its head. So the female cardinal, still cardinal, but it won't be as prominent red as that male cardinal. Now the other thing too is they both have the same black face and reddish orange bill. So again, look for that red of the cardinal, but take a close look if you see the brown one and see if you can find that little bit of red, because that might just be a female cardinal as well. The cool thing about cardinals, and I think most people know this, and if you don't, here's a fun fact for you. They sing. So if you hear that melodious sound, it's probably coming from them. They're very loud and clear. They're 2 to 3 second songs, but very loud and clear. They kind of slur a whistle, or it can be a two-parted whistle. That is the cardinal. It really does sound like a bird. Here's a couple things that you might hear. It sounds like a bird singing cheer, 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 or birdie, birdie, birdie. So that's the cardinal. And again, if you don't know, there's actually going to be a picture here momentarily of the male and female cardinal next to each other, so you can take a look at that. Moving right along into the next bird, and this one is actually going to be one of my favorite birds. I love listening to this call. It is actually a Minnesota state bird, the common loon. This is one you probably don't see flying too often. You more likely see it on the water. So if you're out and about at some of our parks, look on the water. If you're over at Theodore Wirth, maybe take a look by the lake there and see if you can see these loons. But you'll probably hear a loon before you see one. So I'm going to start with that. With that, they are famous for that eerie call, but it is gorgeous. Like I said, it is absolutely one of my favorites. It might be a kind of a wavering, high-pitched call, or even a yodel. And the yodel is actually my favorite because it'll go on for a little while. If you don't know, I'd love to try and intimidate or copy one for you, but I would screw this up, so I would encourage you to check it out on whatever device you can and listen to that loon call if you don't know. But like I said, you'll probably hear a loon way before you see one, so that's a good starting point. But again, these are the big patterned in black and white birds. They're very long birds, long body, long neck. Again, they really don't like to fly that much, so it takes them a little bit to get off the water. So once they do, you'll hear them probably calling before you see them in the air. The long bodies, long necks, they've got that really sharp looking bill. And again, they're usually going to be around that water with that really stretched out body. So that is the common loon, and once again, that is our state bird. Welcome back. All right, so now we've talked about the blue jay, the cardinal, the loon. Now we're going to go to another really simple one you've probably seen a ton of times already, and one that a lot of people think is the first sign of spring, and that is seeing the robin. And what is the most distinguishing characteristic of the robin? It is, of course, that bright orange belly. They are a kind of brown-gray body, but then they have that belly that is just that fire orange, and it looks great, very easy to see. Again, you've probably already been seeing a ton of them. There will be a picture coming up after this, but again, very, very easy to spot that bright orange belly as the first sign of a robin. Moving along and talking about that, it's got a bunch of different calls. Like the cardinal, it does sing a little bit. One of them might be that tut sound, tut, 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 usually repeated 2 or 3 times. It can also sound like a high-pitched kind of a hoarse call. This was something I didn't know. I looked it up in preparation for this, and it was kind of interesting. It really did sound like a horse, but a very high-pitched, softer sound than a horse. So again, that might be how you find the robin, other than that bright orange belly. And again, here's a picture of a robin for you if you already, I'm sure you already know, but just for your reference as well. All right, so then the last one we're going to talk about, and this one's one I've actually been seeing a ton lately, which is really another cool bird. It's going to be one that's going to be around the water a little bit more. It's going to be the trumpeter swan. These are really hard to miss, both in sound and in sight. They are really, really big birds. I mean, you think the geese over there at Brookview are big. These things are, which you might see these at Brookview too, but these are really big white birds. They've got a black bill that kind of goes up into their eyes, so they've kind of got that dark face with a full white body. And again, these are really big birds, so look for them out there. They're really cool to watch flying. They usually fly low, and because it takes a little bit of time to get those bodies up and going. But if you see that big, massive white bird with that dark face, that would be the trumpeter swan. And then again, like a lot of these other birds, very distinguishing sounds is that the trumpet sound. It's not named that for nothing. So that trumpet sound that might sound like oh, with a really hard emphasis, a little more melodic, kind of sounds like a trumpet. Might also be a quick hoo, hoo, hoo. So it does sound a little bit like the Canadian goose, but again, it's much louder, much more melodic, and very much like its namesake of that trumpet. So You can, if you listen closely, you can pick that up pretty quickly once you ID it. So again, the 5 birds we talked about today to just go out and take a look for around Golden Valley would be the blue jay, the cardinal, the common loon, the trumpeter swan, and the robin. Now here's, again, as I challenged in the beginning, here would be my last challenge to you guys before I leave today. I know I've gotten a little long-winded, so thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you guys have fun. But go out and see what else you can find, see what else you can ID. And if you do get a really cool picture or a great video of you IDing it, please share it with us with the hashtag GVHomeREC. So again, until tomorrow, we look forward to seeing you, and get out and enjoy some spring while you are at home. But again, please be safe and please be careful when you are out and about.